just a few more minutes.
Hi, Tony. How are you?
Good, you?
I'm doing well. Is it just you and I?
No, we're at a room of 88 other people.
88. Wow. Amazing.
All right. And I said this a little bit ago, but to reiterate for everybody that's joined and joining right now, welcome to RSO Leadership Orientation. We'll get started. I get a lot of questions of who's required to attend this, and it is only required for at least one member of every organization. So all executive board members are encouraged to attend, not mandatory for them. Attendance is being tracked virtually through a Microsoft forum, so you do not have to watch live, but you'll get some more information about that shortly. Make sure your RSO is completed re-reg. I'll talk about that more in a second. And then if you have any more questions, direct message me on Zoom. I expect this chat can be kind of hard to communicate through. So if you message me directly on there, that might be the best way to be asking questions. I got more and more people joining. Thank you, Garrett. RSO Leadership Quiz. So this is how attendance is being tracked. I'm not going to have everybody unmute and introduce themselves or anything like that. I would love if we had enough time to do that, but unfortunately we don't. So this is the RSO Leadership Quiz. In case you are on your phone and you're unable to then scan your QR code, the link is now into chat once again. Let me see here. Yep, there you go. You must have 100% in order to pass the quiz. That might give you some sort of anxiety or nervousness, but don't worry about it. You are able to take the quiz more than once. So if you take it once and you're like, oh, I misunderstood the question or what have you, you are able to take the quiz a second time. And each student may only represent one RSO. The reason we have that as a policy is because we know some very involved students that could take the quiz for 5 different RSOs, and that's not the goal. The goal is for every student organization to have many members be familiar with this information. Your organization is going to be much more successful the more people that know this information, because you could have those late night meetings and you're like talking about an idea or a collab or something that you guys want to do as an organization, a fundraiser. If you're not very familiar with the rules, policies, how to do things on campus, you're not going to be very successful. You're going to be waiting for emails and responses and all that sort of stuff. But the more members that are familiar with all this information, the more successful your organization will be. And just a note, if you do submit a quiz for more than one RSO, I'm just going to null all of them. I'm not going to take the first one or the second one or anything like that. Just going to nullify them both. So unfortunately, then 2 different students would have to take quizzes for 2 different RSOs. So please don't do that. It makes a headache for everybody. So make sure every student organization has one unique student taking a quiz for them. The quiz and the orientation both have to be completed before Monday. So I keep saying before Monday, due Sunday, whatever language you want to use. Every year I get arguments from students what due dates mean. Has to be completed before Monday. So Monday morning, I'll be going into the quiz and looking through the re-registration and double checking that all of our student organizations that are active have completed both tasks. While we get started, please, we have plenty of students. Thank you, Jacob and Charlie, Mackenzie. Take some time, introduce yourself. Really, I think a good thing here is share what goals your organization has, because other organizations could be like, oh, that's a really good idea. We should probably be doing that too. But also, what's one way that your organization could collaborate with another student organization? So if you guys have any events that could be open for collaborating with other ones, or if you guys have any special projects or anything like that, fundraisers, the more RSOs are collaborating, working together, the better for everybody. Jason, do you want me to hand the lead to you and you talk about our staffing for this?
Yep, Happy to.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. If we haven't met, I'm Jason Shamer, Associate Dean for Student Life. I want to talk a little bit about, introduce myself, and also talk a little bit about our staffing as we go into this year. So we normally have, there would be Jeremy Flood that would be on this list with us, but he is moving over to Alumni Affairs starting tomorrow. So at that point, it will be myself, Kathleen, Chintaka Kubzak, who does all your room reservations and such and out front, and then Tony, who does the RSO management. And then, so it's really the team of us three for going into the next couple months. We will be replacing Jeremy's position, but it's going to be a little wild here going through homecoming and fraternity and sorority recruitment and all the different things that happen in the fall. But I think we have a pretty good plan for it. One thing that's really helping us through is our graduate assistants. I like to make sure people know that we have those. We have Alex, who does our esports. If you haven't checked out our esports, you absolutely should. It's pretty awesome. They're doing tryouts yesterday and today. Aaron, who does events. So you'll be working with Aaron if your RSO is going to compete in homecoming. Aaron's going to have a lot to do in homecoming, as well as Tony. And then Caitlin, who's doing alternative breaks, which we are doing interviews for site leaders. So we're really excited. We're sending out trips in spring break, which is going to be a big deal. And that's actually where I'm headed after I do this introduction, is to go help with interviews because we're a little short on staff. But I want to take the time just to introduce myself, introduce the staff, and then turn it over to Tony. The one thing I will say, just to pitch it to Tony, is that there's a lot of good information in here. I know that webinars can seem like, they're a drag to watch or whatever, but if you want to be really efficient at overseeing your RSO, this is really good information to have in your back pocket for when you're having meetings. It's proven to be, these things, you can be very successful. So, Tony?
Thank you. Yeah, Jason, I was going to comment. We don't really look like, your photo doesn't look exactly the same, but even me, this longer hair going on back here,
I know
my
I've gotten
beard's a little more full this year.
So much younger looking. I am so much younger looking.
How old's that photo, Jason?
Unfortunately, that was taken last week. So,
this has been a stressful week for you.
Right.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
Kathleen looking great as always. I don't think she's aged at all. And then me, beard's got a little fuller and longer hair. All right. RSO re-registration. So I talked about it shortly ago. If you go and visit your RSO's Action Center and you have this blue button that says re-register the RSO, you have to re-register your RSO. That is due before Monday. So Sunday, Monday, whatever you want to call it. When I go into the office Monday morning, that better be completed. I'll share a link with you guys of another way of checking that. Pause this real quick, please. That. So if you've been on Engage, you might have noticed this last year. It does look a little bit different. Some of the action buttons have moved and stuff like that. So if you visit this link right here, SVSU Campus Labs, SVSU Engage, it'll bring up, let me see if I could share it with y'all and not break everything. Right. So now you can all see this link is a great place for you guys to be able to view. So if you search for your RSO and you see this blue button that says re-register, that means nobody's even started the form for your organization. If you don't see it, if it's not available, that either means it's one of three things. It's either been approved and you're all set. It's either pending, so somebody submitted it for your organization, has completed it, and you're all good. Or three, somebody started it and they're halfway, quarter, whatever, through it, but they haven't completed it yet. So if you see a blue box next to your organization in this link right here, that's bad. You need to complete that before Monday. Let's go back. Working between Teams and Zoom different setups make it a little bit harder. Go back and then you switch. There we go. So that's re-reg. Homecoming. So I have the pleasure of this year running the homecoming competitions with the assistance of Erin Maloney. Very excited to be working with her. This year is going to be taking place October 10th through the 15th, starting Monday as a kickoff event, a variety of different activities. We're still brainstorming some different activities that we could really put the theme of music with a variety of different activities. I don't want to do musical chairs. Unfortunately, I cannot trust students to not be throwing each other off to win a homecoming competition and hurting each other. So unfortunately, musical chairs as the standard typical way was not an option. I don't trust you guys to be not throwing each other around. But kickoff is generally a variety of different activities. Tuesday trivia, again, trivia. We're hoping to add more academic based into that. So you get like a variety activity, a knowledge-based activity, as well as lip sync and creative. So we got those. Lip sync, long-standing tradition here, bringing it back. Hopefully lip sync, hopefully music as a theme lends really well to lip sync. So you could do just an artist, you could pick an album, you could pick a whole genre, a decade. You can cosplay as your favorite band, what have you. You could tell a whole story, have it a musical, tell a story through music, what have you. But a lot of options there available for you guys through lip sync. And then Friday is the parade and football, or Saturday. Oh man, Jason, you didn't catch that either. Saturday is the parade and football. If you're interested in competing, and don't think of it as like hard set competing, like no point in competing unless we win. Think of it as like just an activity for you guys to do. It's a way for us to celebrate homecoming. It's a way for us to have a variety of different activities. And a fun part of the activities is to have some competition portions of it. So don't think like, well, we can't win these competitions, so we're not going to bother competing. No, definitely compete, because it's how we celebrate homecoming. So definitely encourage all student organizations to compete, to participate. Especially trivia is going to really lend itself to some students that are a part of any student organizations. They'll be able to kind of compete in their own way in there as well. And hopefully lip sync is always entertaining, because students on stage, lip syncing to music is always entertaining. So that's homecoming. Program board of Valley Nights allocation. So this year, Program Board of Valley Nights have merged together. So if you're familiar with Program Board of Valley Nights, 2 event planning student run organizations in our office, a lot of double work between the two, a lot of the same thing having to be communicated twice to these organizations, and a lot of crossover between those students. A lot of students were a member of both organizations. So this year we're working to merge them together, which works pretty well for Jeremy leaving our office, is that hopefully that ends up being less work overall for our staff to be supervising the students and overseeing their events. But the big part of Valley Nights is the weekend-based entertainment. So a big part of Valley Nights is making sure that there's weekend entertainment available for students, not only to keep students on campus and they're making sure there's things happening on the weekends, but also as an alcohol alternative. So Valley Nights bonus is this new thing that we're doing. Big deal, because not only do you get allocations to put on events for student organized for other students. So I wish this would stop. So not only do you get money to put on events, but you actually earn money based on the attendance at the event. It is being tracked through Cork, especially if you're a first-year student. You might have noticed that we're really pushing Cork this year. Last year, we really rolled it out and really started. This year, everything's being done on Cork. So I'll walk you guys through what this process looks like. It is a bit of a lengthy process, but keep in mind, this is for large scale events, not just something that you guys want to put together on a weekend based. So the idea is that you submit those requests for this event idea that you have, and we're looking about 4 weeks or more prior to the event. So right now we would be looking like, if you want to plan something for Halloween weekend, that'd be a great example of an event that you guys can start planning this and putting this together. So you're going to submit the request at least 4 weeks prior, and you're also going to schedule a meeting with myself and the program board student to have this allocation meeting. And really think of that as the rough draft of your event. It's driving me crazy. Just gonna leave it there. So that's the idea of your event. You don't have it fully fleshed out, but you have a pretty good idea. 2 to 3 weeks prior, so we had our meeting, we finalized what that looks like, we finalized your room reservation, so it's all set up, and we finalize your request. So your request might be like, hey, we want to have all these different things, but really during the meeting, we could really narrow it down and really crystallize what you want. Or you were asking for too little, and we go back and we realize like, oh, you're only asking for 100 this, we could get you 200 and make the event that much bigger and better. 1 to 2 weeks prior to the event, we'll have a meeting between student life staff, the conference center, and facilities. They alternate Mondays, so it's either going to be the week of or 2 weeks prior to really finalize what the room setup and everything like that for the event looks like. And then that's hopefully when we have a finalized budget of what the event is going to cost. And then 1 week after the event, we're requiring you to submit all the different receipts and everything that you needed money for the event. And based on the attendance, you'll get money for that. So right now it's set up that it's going to be $1 per person, cap of $200. So if you guys hold an event, you get 100 students out to your event, that's $100 for your organization. No questions asked. You guys can spend that money however you want. It's just going to be transferred directly into your RSO's agency account. And we'll talk more about that. But yeah, it's a great way for you guys to be able to put on events for students, but also earn money for your RSO to do with whatever you guys like. So if you guys want to have a pizza party or something like that, great. Yeah. Any questions about that? Let me know in the chat. I'll be checking that. And then some reminders for the campus promotions form. So specifically the event blast, please do not submit requests to promote an event that's not live yet. We're only going to be promoting events that have been approved and gone through the whole process. So if you're like, hey, we got to put in this event, we got to do this, and it's the week of, not going to happen. Please submit the request by Tuesday, the week prior. Our student Haley that's putting it together is really going to be working on them the Wednesday before. So please submit them at least the Tuesday before. That's plenty of time. That's less than a full week prior to when the last event blast went out. So keep that in mind. If you want to promote your weekly meetings, you can, but don't expect it to be in every single event blast, and don't expect a great turnout. What I encourage you to do instead is plan an event that's like a special info night and really gear the meeting to be really geared for these new students that are coming in. So really have all your current members prepped and ready and have the mindset of welcoming these students to the meeting, because sometimes meetings can get very regular, very consistent, and you're just at your weekly Tuesday geography club meeting and you're like, who's this person sitting next to me? I never met this person before. Why are they at our meeting? Instead, it's an information night, and you're expecting there to be new people there. So hopefully having a much more inviting meeting for them. An image and a URL are required for your event, and for RSOs, it does have to be your SVSU Engage event. It's a great way for us to be able to check and make sure that the event is live and has been approved. But also we want to make sure that the events that you guys are trying to promote are actually approved and gone through the process. Okay. If you don't have an image for your event, Google Images is fine. You're not selling anything. You're not selling the image. You're not claiming it to be your own. So Google Images works pretty well. Worst case scenario, also just most RSOs have some kind of logo. So I encourage you to use that. I see we did get a question of to start planning events. So this form, and I'll basically what I showed you guys is basically the form. The stuff that comes after that is just like event name, event details, date, time, location, that sort of stuff. that will be going out shortly. I hoped to have it already done, but unfortunately, other things have come up and we're not quite ready to share it yet. But I'll be sending out a follow-up email and it might make it in there. Worst case scenario, it'll definitely be in the October RSO updates. Okay. Campus flyers. There are 30 locations for 8.5 by 11, which is like the standard computer paper. And there are 10 locations for the larger 11 by 17, the bigger poster paper. Just keep that in mind. And then all flyers must include the event name, date, time, location. You might be surprised how often RSOs forget to include that very basic information of like, oh, the flyer looks great. It's a work of art. It's beautiful, but it's missing the most basic information. I'm really going to hit home. It needs a contact name and it needs a contact email. We got quite a few flyers submitted this last week and I'm letting them go for now, but in the future, you guys need to include a contact name and email. So if somebody has any questions about the event, they know exactly who to reach out to and how to reach out to that person if they have any questions, as well as the ADA statement. So what I encourage, the best situation for your campus flyer, bring one copy or just have it on your phone, bring it into our office, have somebody else review it before you print off 30 colored copies and waste that much money in your colored print balance. So bring in a copy, make sure we're able to review it and double check it for those sort of things before you print off so many copies. I hate sending you guys back and wasting your money on something as silly as not having a contact name, but got to get better. We got to have this information readily available for you guys. All right. So that's it through this rolling slideshow. Glad to see chat going by. Lots of people introducing themselves. Great. Let's move on to, this year is hopefully going to be the easiest RSO leadership orientation we ever had, because we are reusing the videos from last year. I reviewed it. All 95% of the information we shared last year is still very relevant, and I'll just interrupt myself when that information is no longer relevant. I think we did really well with the orientation last year, so we're gonna just do it again. Introduce myself. Yep, I think that's everything. So let me share this link. So we have Marie Rabideau, a interim dean of students, doing a little introductory and talking to you guys. Let's pull it up.
My name is Marie Rabideau. I'm the interim dean for student affairs here at SVSU. Today you will be reviewing some very important information for your clubs and organization. I ask that you please give your full attention to the presenters. Your experiences here at SVSU will be useful to you in your future careers. Some of those few valuable skills you will learn is teamwork, leadership, organization, hard work, and networking. You also will bring change to yourself and to the university. And that is a quote from Barack. Never stop believing in the power of your ideas, your imagination, your hard work to change the world. I hope your leadership will bring good things to you and the university. I look forward to working with you and your organizations. I encourage you to reach out to me and invite me to a meeting so I can meet you in person and you can meet me in person. I can be reached at my email, rabideau@svsu.edu.
All right. Thank you, Marie. I'll now. All right. Thank you, Marie. I'll be now pitching over again to myself last year to talk about RSO essentials. So like Jason was saying earlier, this orientation is not exclusively talking about rules and policies. I do give you guys a lot of recommendations, a lot of how-tos, and a lot of guidance and recommendations to you all. So please take note, please pay attention, and hopefully you have a successful year.
Welcome to RSO Essentials. My name is Tony Sancio. I'm Assistant Dean here at Saginaw Valley State University. And today I'm going to be covering the basics of being a registered student organization here at SVSU. Before we begin, I have some housekeeping items to cover. I am often asked who should be attending the RSO orientation, and my recommendation is for all the executive board members should be attending. We require at least one member of your RSO to complete the requirements, but the more people in the room that know the answers to this essential information, the more successful your organization is going to be. If there's only one person in the room that knows the following information, your RSO is going to run into a lot of unnecessary hurdles for your RSO completing even the most basic tasks. Which leads me to the next point. I strongly recommend you share what you learned today with all your members. They might not need the information today, but they are potentially the next wave of executive board watching this being tried to complete this. So these are the 7 keys.
Again, sorry for not interrupting myself sooner, but that is the URL to last year. Please check chat. And then the earlier has a link.
To success for our student organizations. I've been doing this presentation for a number of years, and every year I change and add things or remove other things, but really I have it boiled down. These are the 7 things every student organization needs in order to be successful. The first one is determine your destination. What are your goals for the organization? What do you want to accomplish? Number 2 is recognizing and utilizing your resources. We provide a lot of resources for our student organizations, but we want to help you recognize them and be able to utilize them better. Number 3 is building on your success year after year. So there's always a transition of executive board members and student organizations, but we want to help you build on your success year after year and grow the organization and not feel like you're starting all over again every single year. Number 4 is the Office of Student Life Communication. So there's a few different ways that our office communicates to our student organizations, and we just want to clarify those with you. And number 5 are the promotional opportunities. So there's a lot of different ways of promoting on campus, and we just want to help you walk through those options. Number 6 is an SVSU Engage walkthrough. So we'll show you what it looks like to be an executive board member of a student organization, how to reserve rooms, how to update your roster, how to re-register the organization, all that sort of stuff. And number 7 is managing your money. So we're going to be talking about your agency account and different ways to spend your money. The first key to success for your organization is to determine your destination for your organization. In other words, what does your organization want to accomplish? Here is a list of some examples of what your organization can adopt for its purpose. It could be one of those things, multiple, or a totally different list. It's up to you. Once you have the purpose for your organization decided by the whole executive board and vetted by the members of your organization, you can start developing SMART goals to accomplish that mission. Let me emphasize that this does need to be done as a whole group and as a team. One way to quickly lose members is to not have a shared vision of what the organization's purpose is. And it can have multiple, but leaders of the organization have a responsibility to consider what the members want to do. If you do not agree with the executive board and the General Assembly, you need to have a conversation. And conversations go both ways. The leaders need to be willing to listen to the members. We recommend setting SMART goals for the organization as a team. SMART is the abbreviation of specific, measurable, achievable, result-focused, and time-bound. A common question I am asked is, what length of time can SMART goals be set for? And I encourage student organizations to set goals for any amount of time. Do not feel limited just by your term as an executive board member. You can set a goal for the week, the month, the semester, year, or multiple years. Don't feel limited just by your term as an executive board member. And who should be included in developing the SMART goals? Just to reemphasize, all members should be included in the development of the goals. It helps members feel included in the direction of the organization and feel like they're part of making it become reality. So highly encourage to include all members in the development of the SMART goals. Number 2, utilize your resources. So here are the 5 different resources we encourage RSOs to utilize. The first one being your advisor. Your advisor can be a great guide, but only if you use it. I often hear from advisors that they do not hear enough from their organizations and are just waiting for an invitation to attend meetings. So I encourage you guys to have a very positive relationship and communicate often with your advisor. The next one is the RSO transitional binder. This includes a lot of how to run a student organization at SVSU. I'll be covering that more in depth in just a moment. The RSO handbook, which is the rules and policies set by the university and the state of Michigan. Again, I'll be covering that in just a moment. SVSU Engage, this is the room reservations and promoting events on campus, file sharing, creating your own forums, having an active roster of your members, and publishing news articles. I'll be doing a walkthrough of SVSU Engage. Student life staff, if you still have questions and you don't know where to start, just ask us. I genuinely want to meet every RSO and personally assist you with your goals. I want to hear about your difficulties that you're facing. I want to figure out solutions for you. Here's the link to schedule a virtual meeting with me. Please keep it to normal business hours, 8 a.m. to 4 o'clock, Monday through Friday, but I'm very flexible. I genuinely mean I do want to meet every student organization and get to know you guys and help you with your goals. Just a friendly reminder, if you are following along with the quiz, you should be on question 6, which asks, select other resources your RSO is encouraged to use. Continuing on utilizing your resources, this is the transitional binder, and this is the how-tos of a student organization. This includes some general information, forms and contracts. This includes the RSO handbooks, the rules and policies, and also some optional documents that you can include in here are best practices for RSOs. So these are additional articles that I've written to help some of the more finite things with running a student organization, including how to run an effective meeting and how to keep an updated calendar, budgeting, that sort of stuff. The recommended documents to keep include your meeting minutes, your agenda, your receipts, event reservation information. All the history of your organization is kept in this binder. And I include you guys to fill it with as much information as you can. Even if you do not feel like it would be very useful information, let the next executive board that has this transitional binder make that decision of what to keep and what to throw away. You might be surprised to find what information is very useful for new members of your organization. You will find, if you're an executive board member for long enough, that you run into the same conversations every single year. For example, cards party of scheduling, who registered for us for a table, how long, who's going to be working it, do we have supplies at the table, how are we doing sign up? Stuff like that is stuff that RSOs talk about every single year. So this transitional binder can be a helpful way to look into the past, but also kind of look into the future as well. So it's a very useful tool and encourage all student organizations to utilize it. If you were not provided a transitional binder by your previous executive board, we have a document that you can download and start creating your own transitional binder and create that history for your organization. Next is the RSO handbook. This is the rules and policies of being a student organization. So this is a very useful tool if you have questions about important dates, contacts, the benefits of being a student organization, university services, and your responsibilities as an organization and during events. So when we reference the rules and policies of your organization, we're referring to things that are included in the handbook. We link this very often in the event reservation form, but this should also be included in the transitional binder. All students should be at least familiar of what this document contains. You don't have to be able to cite it directly and memorize the whole thing, but at least be familiar of what different topics we cover in the RSO handbook. Number 3, build on your success year after year. A big part of being a successful organization is planning ahead. Unfortunately for student organizations, you'll be transitioning some, most, or all your executive board members every year. In order for your organization to build and grow after every year, it is important to train the next executive board. If you feel like you were not trained for your position, use that as a motivator. Make sure when it comes your turn to train the next leader, you do a better training than what you were provided. I recommend the 2 weeks notice model. Just like in a professional setting, when you are leaving a job, you provide your employer with a 2 weeks notice of your last day. RSO should set up elections, very similar model. Provide at least 2 weeks of transition from the previous executive board to the new. For example, if your executive board elections are held on January 9th, do not have them take effect for 2 weeks, which would be January 23rd. During this transitional period, the newly elected executive board has the opportunity to shadow and ask questions of the previous executive boards. I encourage you guys, promise yourselves that you'll pass on this knowledge. You will train the next executive board members on everything you learned from your experience as an executive board. Again, set goals that extend your term as executive board members. The next executive board can choose to continue, alter, or completely change those plans. It's up to them, but set your organization up for success of building year after year and having these multi-year goals. Number 4 is student life communication. There are 3 different ways that the Office of Student Life communicates to student organizations. The first one is RSO Updates, which is a monthly newsletter sent via email that highlights some of the big things to be aware of for that month. The second one is SVSU Engage Alerts. So there are alerts that are located on the home page. And number 3 is RSO Support, which is an SVSU Engage page that is built as a resource for our student organizations. RSO Updates is a monthly newsletter highlighting the most important updates from the Office of Student Life. It is geared for our student organizations. In addition, if RSOs have anything they would like to share with other student organizations, we can include your message. For example, Battle of the Valleys and Relay for Life have been included in the past. This newsletter is sent out to RSOs based on your roster on SVSU Engage. The positions listed here are automatically added to the mailing list. There's also an elective sign-up list. So if you have a member that does not hold any of the positions listed here, they can also sign up for it. There's a button at the top of the newsletter, so an easy way for them to sign up is for you to just forward them a copy of the newsletter and they can sign themselves up. I highlight the new information in the new announcement section, and I include information that was sent out previously but still relevant for this month in the reminders section. So when you get these emails, just open them up, check the new announcements header, and make sure you're up to date on the most important information for that month. The next way that the Office of Student Life communicates with our student organization is the alert system on SVSU Engage. So when you first open up SVSU Engage on the home page, you'll see these different yellow boxes that populate. These are different things that we're making sure that you are very much aware of for that month. We try not to utilize them too much because they're kind of an eyesore, but just when you log into Engage and you see these alerts pop up, make sure you are aware of these alerts. And the third way that the Office of Student Life communicates to RSOs is through RSO Support. RSO Support is a page that is set up as if it is a student organization, but it is a resource for our leaders of student organizations. It includes event reminders, files, forms, and news articles that are written to be helpful, such as frequently asked questions, how to check your agency account, and allocation information. Number 5, promotion opportunities. I am often asked by RSOs, what are all the different ways of promoting on campus? So I created a smart form that gives you all the different options and gives you additional information based on which options you select. It also includes the ways that you submit through the weekly event blast, as well as the Valley Nights pre-movie slideshow. The Office of Student Life oversees the top section of the promotional opportunities, while the Student Association manages potty postings and the Valley Vanguard has their own ads in their newspaper. So if you have any questions on the event blast, the postings around campus, or the chalking policy, the campus promotions form gives you additional information on those. But if you want to be included in the event blast or the Valley Nights pre-movie slideshow, it'll actually ask you questions, and that's how you submit for the event blast. The Office of Student Life is working on a new social media committee, so check your RSO updates for more information on how we can collaborate our social media platforms to advertise your events or your organization. Moving on to the SVSU Engage walkthrough. When you become an executive board member for your organization, you might notice that you have a few additional settings available to you. I will have some additional settings on top of that, so please ignore those for this demonstration. So to get to your RSO's Action Center, my way that I recommend is scrolling down to your different memberships and finding the organization that you want to change. I'll be using RSO support as an example. So if you click there, at the top right there, there'll be the gear that says Manage Organization. This option is only available if you are listed as an executive board member for that organization. So if you don't have those rights, you're not listed here as an officer, that's why. If you need to extend those rights, I'll show you how. So I click here, and it opens the RSO's Action Center. And I like to tease this page a little bit because there's not actually a lot of action happening here. But if you select here at the top left, this menu, it opens this window and it
All right. Sorry to interrupt myself, but this is one way that things are a little different this year compared to last. If you've been kind of following around and plugging away on SVSU Engage as well, you might have noticed, one second. SVSU Engage looks a little bit different. Instead of all these options being at the top of this window up here, they've all moved to this left side. And you might notice that I have a few extra buttons than you do. Don't worry about that. It's just because I have administrative rights. So it hopefully will cut down on the amount of clicking that you have to do to get to your Action Center. So instead of going to your home page, clicking on that gear, and then getting to your Action Center through there, hopefully it appears right here on your left side. You're able to click the gear, and then you're able to get right into what you want to change. So, so from here, where I'm looking at this, this wonderfully written article about the RSO Leadership Orientation, re-reg, I'm able to then go straight to AB's about page, and I'm able to go right into there and able to start changing that information instead of having to navigate to their page, navigating to their Action Center, then clicking on that. So hopefully that cuts down on a lot of clicking, but really that and one other thing are how things are different this year. But just so you guys are aware, that is one way that things are a little bit different this year.
has all the action items listed here. So the first one is the roster. So within rosters, where you can change all the current members of your organization and change the privileges that they have. So for example, if I want to change Abby McMahon's privileges within RSO support, click the pencil right here, and I'm able to assign her any one of these different positions. And you might notice that your organization is vice president and treasurer and SVSU advisor, but this RSO room reservations point of contact and this RSO primary point of contact, these are custom positions that are created for this organization, and you could do the exact same thing up here at the managed positions. Within here, you can create positions custom for your organization. So if your RSO has different names for their officers or presidents or anything like that, you can update that up here. Moving on to pending. So these are invitations to students to join the organizations. Prospective are people that have requested to join your organization. So Samuel Johnson, for example, I'll go ahead and hit approve. And then terms and conditions. So if you want to set terms and conditions for joining your student organization, you can set that here as well. And up here at the top right is how you invite members. And here is a messaging tool to be able to message people within your organization and the primary point of contact. So currently for RSO support is listed as myself. Moving on to the About section. So the About is all the outward facing information for your organizations, the name, the description, your profile photo, contact information. And I don't actually recommend having this information, especially your address and all that sort of stuff, because that's gonna be standard for all the student organizations. It's gonna populate, it's not gonna look great. Moving on, if you have any external websites that you wanna refer members to, so a lot of organizations that are national chapters, you could do that here. And agency account number. So I'll mention later during the presentation of where you can find your agency account number, and this is where you'll be able to find it. Don't forget to hit the blue button to update all the information that you have input. Moving on to events. So this tab is a list of all the events that have been approved and how you create events. This will not display pending event reservations. In order to do that, you need to go to your account, submissions, events, and this is where all of your event submissions are visible. So if another member submits a request for, say, General Assembly meetings, only that student can view it while it's pending. Once it's approved, it'll be visible within here. But this is where you go to create an event. Moving on to news. So news articles are basically web pages for your organization's page. It's a great way to be able to share information with your current members and with the student body. So you might see here, these are all different news articles, and some of these might not actually be very familiar to you because they're actually not public. So you can actually share, you can post things that are only visible to current members, you can post things that are visible to all students, or you can have things not even published and visible at all. So I actually have a very useful article for this, news articles. It's a very powerful tool at your disposal to be able to use. So actually, here's a news article if you're interested in learning more about news articles. Gallery is uploading photos for your organization, and I'm not going to try to build it up to be more than it is. It's not a Twitter, it's not a Facebook or Instagram or anything like that, but it is good for your organization to have at least some photos of your organization. So when people view your page, they see at least a few happy smiley faces, something inviting, something that helps people understand what your organization is all about. Moving on to documents. So SVSU Engage supports file sharing and creating folders to be able to put those files into. So it's a very useful way to retain information from year after year. I know some organizations use Google Docs, which is great if that's what you want to utilize, but unfortunately, those permissions and those accesses can be lost over time, especially if the organization goes inactive for a period of time. And we do have some organizations that go away for a couple of years, and then we get a new group of students that are interested in continuing the organization. Dumbledore's Army is a great example of that has come and gone a few times. By utilizing SVSU Engage's file sharing, all those documents are saved within SVSU Engage and are not lost to new members that come along. So highly encourage you guys to utilize SVSU Engage for file sharing, even if you want to save your minutes or agendas or anything like that. It's a great way to be able to do that. Next is forms. Forms are similar to files, but it's something that a student would fill out and that information would then be sent to another student. So for example, the campus promotions form is a form that we use to get information from students that are interested in having their events listed in the event blast, for example. SVSU Engage also has a place for you to track service hours. So within this, a member of your organization can log service hours for your organization, and you can go in here and approve it. We actually use this as a way of measuring how many service hours are done each year. So at the end of the year, we download the total service hours, kind of look through them and make sure they're all current and accurate. But it is a very useful tool for you guys to be able to track service hours, but also for the university to be able to track how many service hours are being done by our student organizations as well. Number 6, managing your money.
All right, here is the other way that things do look a little bit different for you guys. So when I talk about, and I'll just say it now, or let myself repeat it. Cardinal Direct no longer exists, and you guys are being updated to the new platform that is Finance Query. You might have noticed I included information about this in the previous RSO updates, and hopefully I'll have more information for you guys moving forward. But as for everything related to Cardinal Direct, all that is being updated and changed. It was a very old platform, no longer being supported, so we're moving to a new system, and more information will be released for that later. But just keep in mind when I talk about exactly Cardinal Direct and how to get there, that is no longer being supported. But what I talk about, what is an agency account, how to update who has access and all that sort of stuff, that is still very current.
First, we're going to cover what are agency accounts, how to update access, how to find your agency account number, and how to view your account online. First, agency accounts are sort of like bank accounts with the university. It is a secure location that will keep your money safe, but you do not earn interest on your accounts, and also you cannot withdraw cash as easily as a bank would normally allow. We do recommend you use your agency accounts instead of opening a separate bank account with, say, independent bank, because we will not know who has access to your separate bank account. If money goes missing, I'm very limited on what I can do to help you track that money compared to the agency account. So we highly encourage you to utilize your agency accounts. The only two people that will have access to your agency account and be able to view the accounts online and sign off money to be spent is the account manager, which is the student treasurer, and the account supervisor, who is the SVSU advisor. In order to change these roles, you must re-register the organization. Changing the treasurer role on SVSU Engage's roster does not alert me or give me all the information I need to be able to change that. So please note, the process does take some time to complete, a week or possibly multiple weeks. So do not assume that if you submit it overnight, that'll be changed by the morning. If you cannot find your agency account number, it is located in your RSO's About page in your RSO's Action Center on SVSU Engage. If you scroll all the way to the bottom of the About page, it should be listed there. To view the account online, the account manager or the account supervisor can view it by selecting the Employees tab using select the check requisition form, view previous account history.
So keeping consistent with everything else, that's all the information that's no longer accurate, so I'll just skip ahead.
Check requisition form. The first way that I'm going to cover on how to spend money out of your agency account is a check requisition form. This form is essentially a request for your check to be written on behalf of your organization to someone else or a business. Some important notes that I have to hit: the money does come from your agency account, so make sure you have money in it before issuing the check. And this form requires an invoice or receipt to be issued. And it requires the signatures from the account manager and account supervisor, your SVSU advisor. This form is most commonly used to reimburse members that have used their own money for the organization. For example, if you are having an event and need to purchase table covers, a member can use their own money to make the purchase, and your RSO can follow up with that member and reimburse them for their money. Another way of spending money from your agency account is a purchase requisition form. It is very similar to a check requisition. Instead, this is a request to make a purchase on behalf of your organization's behalf. Again, the money comes from your agency account, so make sure you have money in your account before issuing. This form requires a clear description of what you would like to purchase. An invoice or an example helps. And it requires signatures from your account manager and account supervisor. Most commonly, this is used to purchase t-shirts. SVSU has a great deal with the local screen printer, Saginaw Knitting Mills, commonly referred to as SKM. The university orders so many t-shirts that the university has a bulk discount with SKM. So before you go online and purchase custom t-shirts, make sure the price is competitive with what's already offered to you through SKM. One last reminder, just so everybody knows, RSO Leadership Orientation 22 will be taking place September 6, 2022. The reason I mentioned it now.
Sorry, I was answering somebody else's question. Again, RSO Leadership Orientation. So last year was talking about this year. And again, I'm going to reemphasize to you guys, RSO Leadership Orientation always takes place the day after Labor Day, that Tuesday. Works really well for us because we know that you're kind of counting on having a class that day, but you don't. So hopefully you have some time blocked away for orientation. So again, the RSO Leadership Orientation 2023 is going to be taking place a year from today. All right, we're going to move on to the room reservation portion of the orientation. And again, there is just one small change for the room reservation process. And if you've put in a room reservation this summer, you might have noticed that there is a pretty big change, and I'll talk more about it when we get to it.
Greetings, my name is Kathleen Shintaka-Kubzak. I'm the Administrative Secretary in Student Life. I am in charge of processing the Engage requests that you submit. I'm also the advisor for FEM, Female Empowerment and Multicultural Education. I'm also the Support Staff Association President here on campus. If you'd like to know a little bit more about that, please feel free to contact me. I am here to present how to fill out an event request form. So here we are at the start of the SVSU Engage homepage. I'm going to go into one of the memberships that I am involved with. Okay, let's get ready and create an event. I'm going to click Manage Organization. Going to click over here on this hamburger. Click Events. And over here in the right-hand corner, if you have admission permissions, you will be able to click this button and actually view it and create an event. If you do not, then you need to talk to your president of your organization, and the permissions need to be corrected. So now we're in the beginning of the registration form here. You're going to type your event. I'm just going to write test. Over here, you pick a theme, whatever kind of program it's going to be. Here in the description, you want to tell everything, what is your event about? How are you going to get, this is how you're going to get people at your event, what the description. Do not put in how many tables you need, any chairs, or any information that does not pertain to your description. It's very helpful. Here you can add in additional organizations if you're co-hosting an event with. You can also drop up here, let's go back to description, you can drop in links or anything like to your Facebook or, you know, videos or anything. You can put that all right here. Here's where you're going to put in your start date, what time, and end time. Click on location. Here's where you'll put where your event is going to be. The address, Saginaw Valley.
Sorry, Kathleen, I'm going to be interrupting you. This is the new form. It looks very similar, except one big change, which is right here of adding a request. So this is using the new smart form that is directly connected with 25 Live. And if you're not familiar with what 25 Live is, it is the holy grail, the Bible of what we use for room reservations at SVSU. If it is not listed on 25 Live, the event is not real, it doesn't exist. This links directly with 25 Live. So when you browse available rooms, it is going to look at this start date and start time that's listed here. And it is going to look for rooms that are available during those dates and times. So I recommend filtering room, finding your room based on the building. So let's pick Brown first floor. And it's going to pull up all the different rooms that are available in Brown Hall for September 6th, noon to 1 p.m. So it's a great way for you guys to know which rooms are already off the table as for a reservation. So if you were like, man, we really want Brown 110. Oh man, we don't see it here. It's not listed. It's because it's not available for when you're requesting it. So if you don't see it listed here, either it's not in the system at all, you misspelled the name, or it's not available for that time. So that's why I recommend doing this building, so you don't have to worry about the spelling of the name. And then almost every single space is listed within 25 Live, so you'll be able to find it in here. So the only other reason why it wouldn't be listed here is because it's not available for that specific date and time. So it's a great way for you guys to be able to already know which rooms are not going to be available for you. Keep in mind that does not guarantee that you will have that event. Like it does not put a hold on those spaces. So somebody could be in there and putting in a request for TSAR the same time as you are, even though they submitted their request for and got through it already. It'll still be available because their process hasn't been completed yet until the event goes live. So don't assume just because you've gone through this request form and you've submitted the request, it does not guarantee that you will still have that room. So I still encourage you guys heavily, follow up with your advisor, explain what the event is going to be all about, and make sure you get their approval. We need their approval before we even review it. We're not going to approve a request if your advisor doesn't want it to happen. So highly encourage you guys, once you submit this request, follow up directly with your advisor, explain the situation, explain the expectations, explain what resources you'll need, all that sort of stuff. And if it's a regular weekly meeting, and talk about having potentially having them visit once a semester or something like that. But get their approval and then we'll start reviewing the request. But yeah, just because it's available when you put in the request does not mean it'll be available once we get to your request. So put in those reservations in early. All right. So we'll get back to Kathleen.
You can click to show the map or not. Here, right here, add another event will help if, say, this was a meeting and not just a one-time event that was going to happen on September 14th. If you had additional dates, they can be added here, but that information will populate. Everything that we put in will populate. So see, the location popped up here. Say if I was to choose another date. Moving on here, if it's public and any student, any SVSU student is able to attend or welcome to attend, you'll want to keep it on the public. If it's a closed meeting and is only for organizations only, I know that some of the fraternity, sorority meetings are executive board members only. You want to click this so that only those people see the event. But if it's public, click public and everybody can see it. Here's where you can pick event categories. You can select perks. We all know that free stuff usually gets people at your events. Okay, here's the RSVP section. We don't require you to RSVP, and not everybody uses this, but you can to RSVP so that you can limit your guests, so you only have space for so many, or it can be open to anyone. And then there's RSVP questions that could be included or added. Moving on to the post feedback, this is, you can choose if you want to have feedback after your event. You want to find out how it went, how you can make it better, what was great about it, what were the flaws about it that could be fixed so that you can have a better event. That's what this post event feedback button is for. All right, uploading a photo here, your event cover. This is going to help entice people to come to your event. It is important. It should be the flyer of your event. It should be something that's going to bring people to your event, because that is what is going to be seen on the Engage page. It can be, you know, Google an event and it could be placed on here. If you don't have a flyer or can't think of anything, maybe it can be your RSO logo. If you do not put anything here, it's just going, Engage is going to generate just a basic image, and that's going to be like all the other images for any other RSO that has not uploaded an image for their event. So it is very helpful to have something that's eye-catching, something that's going to pull people in and be interested in attending your event. Okay, now that we've finished up the Engage basic questions on the form, we're moving into the SVSU required questions. And here we're going to point out some of the important things you should know that are in the handbook, but we do encourage you to go and click and read through the handbook so that you are aware of the policies and procedures here on campus. I don't think I need to read through all of these, but you will read through them and click and agree that you will follow them. Down here is the COVID-19 guidelines, and we need to let you know that these are ever changing. As of right now, an advisor is not required to be present, but as we know, daily things change. So always keep it updated with the RSO updates. We will definitely let you know as soon as we know when things change. You will need to read through the guidelines. Type of request. This is where you will, if there's, if you're doing an information table, a meeting in a classroom, you want a meeting in a conference room that isn't in a classroom, performance room for dancing or singing, running, walking, race, bonfire. Bonfire includes UP and conference and event center and campus facilities, special event. And then item for your calendar is something you can, if you're, maybe your event is off campus at a different location and you just want it pushed out to your group, that's what you would pick, you would choose here. We're gonna go with special event because that's the one that would, you'd need more assistance with. Be present here. If you click yes, the alumni office will be triggered and made aware that you're going to have an event that an alumni person is going to speak at. If you're going to show a film, usually if it's a film and you're going to show it to a large group of people, there's copyright permissions that you need. So if you were going to do something like that, you should contact Student Life and talk to somebody. Your estimated head count, that will help with securing a space or location that is going to work for you. And your RSO agency account. Okay, we're here, these questions here populated because we did the special event. We chose a special event. We checked that button. So this is the type of room that, you know, how do you want it set up? What are you looking for? Theater seating depends on what kind of event you're having. You know, do you need rectangle tables? Do you want round tables? This is where you will do your setup. Some additional items for your event. Lectern, coat racks, stage. Certain rooms can only allow for the stage, and pretty much that's TSAR or outside. How many chairs? How many people are going to be at your event? 25. Okay, here is where you will upload your file. We do have the layout plans for the TSAR, the programming room, and the rotunda. You can download these and then manipulate the tables and chairs to how you want that set up, and then upload the file here so that it can be distributed to campus facilities. Will you need a microphone? Yes or no? There are 2 available in the TSAR that can be checked out with your student ID. Is there going to be contracted services? Are you going to have a DJ? Is there somebody performing? Is there somebody that you are paying that's going to be here on campus? If that is true, then you would need to fill out a boilerplate and get contracts signed and approved. When it comes to this part, you can always contact Student Life and we will help you walk through what the boiler contract means and what signatures you need for your event. Do you plan on having food at your event? Food provided by any organization other than SVSU Dining Services may only be served in the TSAR, the Wedge Lounges, and the Unity Room, Conference Room, and Programming Rooms. SVSU Catering is a service, but there is a charge. Okay, these are the next steps. Once you submit the event request, it will be pending until your advisor approves. So I would suggest that once you hit that button, it has been submitted, maybe email your advisor and let them know, hey, I just submitted the request and your approval is needed, because we will not process that request until the advisor has approved. Once the advisor is approved, we will process it through R25 Live, and you will receive a confirmation. Once you receive a confirmation from 25 Live with the location, you're good to go. Events not approved by the advisor will just sit there. So we do put questions in the conversation piece. We'll let you know that it has not been approved or has not been processed because we are waiting for the advisor to approve before we move forward. We ask you to please review the RSO handbook. If you're requesting to use a Wedge Lounge, any of the community centers, that is a separate form and can be provided to you by Student Life or Residential Life. All right, so once you've completed your submission, to check on it and see if it's pending still, then you will go up here to your initial, go to submissions, and then to events. So my test is here. Okay, so here's what your approved submission will look like. If it's approved, you will see a green thumb over here. If it's denied, then the thumb will be down. And over here is where we look at the advisor thumb up to go ahead and approve. Here's all the information that will be generated. A good description, a nice event image. Time and location. Your event options, the type of request. room setup, food service, and here's the discussion piece that we were talking about that you could put a comment in if you have any questions, or if you requested a room that is not available, we will put a message in here letting you know that that room is not available and possibly giving you another option for a room, waiting for your approval that it's okay to move forward with the location that we suggested. Okay, just so that you know, once you submit your request, there are certain rooms that Student Life has permission to automatically approve. If there are spaces on campus that Student Life does not have those permissions for, the request goes to a conference and event coordinator, and they approve and process the request. And you will then receive confirmation directly from the conference center. Whatever is on that confirmation is the location that you have been approved for. Sometimes we go ahead and approve the event in Engage, but we'll have to go in and change that location if it wasn't available to match the R25 request. I also want to point out that sometimes you will get a code that like this, the 2021-ACFTLM. There'll be just different letters, but that is the reference code for the event request that has been submitted into R25 on your behalf. So if you go to the submissions and look and see that it's still pending, that reference number can be used to talk with Conference and Event Center to see if that location has been approved yet. And that's it for event request submissions. Always feel free to come to the Student Life and ask us any questions. We are here to help. We are all cross-trained on how to navigate SVSU Engage.
Thank you, Kathleen. All right. One thing I want to emphasize with the room reservations, hopefully I already touched on it enough about contacting your advisor once you submit that request. But also, screen sharing. Oh, you got it, Jason? Nice. Give us at least 2 weeks to process your requests. Sometimes we're able to process requests pretty quickly, especially if it's a space that this Office of Student Life owns, and really nobody owns a space, but there's different rooms that we have more permissions over than others. So if you're asking for like a wedge lounge, yeah, we could process that pretty quick, but it's still going to be dependent on your advisor approving. So always follow up with them, but you should be at least giving us 2 weeks, and that's including the advisor approved. So if you submit it 2 weeks prior, but your advisor doesn't review it for a week, that's not giving us 2 weeks. That's giving us 1 week. So give it plenty of time and make sure your advisor's reviewing it. Next, we have Jason Swackhammer to present to us. Are you able? I think I made you co-host. I think we're all good.
Yep, Tony, I think I'm good to go from here.
Yeah. And then I'm going to put a link in chat again to the quiz. Please fill that out. And yeah. All right.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Tony, for allowing me to speak for a few minutes here. Hello, everyone. My name is Jason Swackhammer, and I am I work in our University Communications office. We do a lot of different things around campus. One of the more important things as it relates to you all is we're a storytelling operation for the university. So we like to tell stories when we're doing our marketing, but we also know that, you know, one of the reasons you're here is for us to help promote you and get you on your next step in your career. So we want to be able to help share those stories. But one of our challenges is getting those stories from you. So what we wanted to do today is kind of outline some of the ways that we've put in place for you all to share your stories. And I wanted to go over what maybe some of those examples are. So you'll see on my screen here, our University Communications website. So svsu.edu/UComm with 2 M's, UCOMM. And when you go there, you'll see a series of different things. The most important thing for you, as Tony outlined regarding events, Student Life does a great job through Engage and through their own ways of communicating and telling ways of sharing events that you all put on that are either internal for just your organization or for other RSOs and other students to enjoy. What we want to be able to do is also help supplement maybe events that you're doing that invites the public. Some different examples of that might be a 5K event that you might be doing that invites other people to campus. So one ways that we ask you, one way that you can help promote that for us is if you go under communications, we have a series of different links here to different forms. If you hit the media relations publicity email blast link, this will take you to a form that you can complete that has a lot of different information. It's not terribly detailed. Won't take you terribly long to do, but it helps us provide information that we will then probably get back with whoever you put as a contact person for us to complete and either send out, whether it's a press release. A lot of times these also might go out, again, like I said, as an email blast. That's the most important part of this tool, but it also might trigger us to do things like the TV messaging system to put things on there. So if you complete this form, know that it will go to a particular person within University Communications. And if you do want to have it also be outside of just a email blast, if you wanted to go to the TVs or if you want to be a press release, just include it in that description here. And that will allow us to go along with that. You'll notice here in the forms under communications, there's separate forms for all of those. Just know that if you put that in that description, you won't have to complete all of those separate forms. I do want to point out that we do also offer photography services, but mainly only for events that are open to the public, just because of one important piece, which is sometimes when there's events that are not open to the public, we have to get consent forms signed. So it's just easier when an event is open to the public. There's automatically an element of not having to require photo request forms sent out or photo release forms sent out. So that's why we kind of limit that to photography requests. Those forms are found under marketing. So if you hit that and you hit photography request to photographer, it's not guaranteed that we'll have availability, but we'll do the best that we possibly can to make that happen. One last thing as it relates to events specifically, you'll notice if you follow our different Instagrams or if our Instagram account at SVSU Cardinals or TikTok channel, we do our best to share those events when we're tagged in them on our stories, especially on Instagram. So when you're posting events, definitely tag us at SVSU Cardinals specifically within those two platforms, and we'll do the best we can to help promote that. One of the other things that we like to do is we like to tell the stories of individual students. So sometimes that's a profile story, either it's a news release, a social media post, possibly a video. We're launching some podcasts. So there's a lot of different ways that we can help promote. This is an example of our SVSU newsroom. One way different stories get disseminated, but for stories specifically that relate to an RSO, we have a brand new form under communications called RSO Story. So some examples of what RSO stories might be, let's say Sigma Pi organization, which I actually am the advisor for. They just went to their biannual convocation. If they won awards there, they could submit that to us, and then we would publish that out. Some other examples are like a club dodgeball team. If they might win a tournament, submit a RSO story for us so we can go and submit that to the world. If individuals, we're also not only looking to tell RSO stories, but also looking to tell individual stories. We also have a success stories form from that UCOM homepage. If you hit that Cardinal success story, this is more for individual stories. So things that you might be doing as an individual, we want to be able to tell that story. And one of the cool ways that a lot of people probably don't realize is we have a website called svsu.meritpages.com. It's using a product called Merit. And this publishes, it's kind of like a digital record of your achievements while you're a student at SVSU. So if you go down here, you'll see there's a lot of different stories. But if I would click on Matthew Ingersoll here as one example, you'll see that we have a lot of different news that we've published about him. Both not only from an RSO or different organizations he's involved with, but if he's named to the dean's list, all of this content gets aggregated under you as an individual, and ways that we can tell that story, not only through the RSO form, but your own individual stories. We can help tell your story through this mechanism. So that's just one of the interesting and cool ways that we can help tell your story. Last thing I want to plug today is if you do follow our Instagram, one of our more popular things that we do is our Instagram takeovers. If you go and click on the takeover highlight that we have on our IG story, you'll see there's a lot of different content on there. We are actively looking for volunteers to help share your story. And oftentimes those stories involve RSOs and different activities or things that are happening with that. So if you are interested in doing that on our website, you can click under our services and our social media. You can also go to svsu.edu/social media, and that will get you to this same page. At the bottom of the page, there's a link for a takeover request form. If you click that link, we will consider you to be subject as part of our different takeovers. So we're looking to do about one a week. If we have more, that would be great. So anybody, if you don't mind sharing this with your entire organizations, we would really appreciate it, because we definitely know that telling your stories is the most authentic way of telling the SVSU story. So definitely, if you could do that, that would be awesome. You'll also notice on here, there is a social media directory. I definitely encourage you, as you're resubmitting your information to and using the Engage platform to submit your social media platforms. We will use that information to help populate this directory. One other last thing is, one of the most interesting and helpful ways that you can keep in tune with SVSU is following our official SVSU social media channels. We know not a lot of people have Facebook or Twitter anymore, but definitely Instagram. We will be adding our TikTok underneath here, but you can find it on the footer of the SVSU homepage, all the different links. So we would love you to do that. And finally, I will definitely, as we move on here in this presentation, in the chat, I will add all of the websites I just referenced, as well as my contact information, if anybody has any questions. Thanks, Tony.
Thank you. Great to have you. Love seeing you again. All right, I think we're moving on. Lizzie, are you available? Lizzie from Career Services. Yes.
Yes, I am here.
Are you ready?
Yep, sure am.
I believe I also made you a co-host in case you have anything that you would like to share.
All right, I'm going to stop yours, Jason.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Jason. I'm really looking forward to seeing what the RSOs have to share and all that.
All right, is that sharing the Career Services website?
Well, I now I can see a PDF.
Oh, okay, so it's on this one. All right. Awesome. So hi, everyone. I'm Lizzie. I'm the Assistant Director of Career Services. Just have a couple of things I want to chat to you guys about to make sure that you're sharing with your RSOs, and just to kind of share how Career Services can help you throughout the semester. So you should be able to see my share of the Career Services website. So that's just svsu.edu/careers. One thing that we have started this year that has not previously been around, if you scroll down on that homepage, we've got a little section here for RSOs. and we have a special link to schedule a presentation with us. So this is just going to set up like the topic, the date, the time, the location of when you may want a career services representative to come to one of your RSO meetings and talk about resume and cover letters, interview skills, whatever it may be to help your group get prepared for upcoming job fairs or just get prepared for that next step after graduation. We can do it either just as a regular presentation, or we're happy to work with you as well for any other formats that you would like. But this RSO bookings form is available. I'll also send this link in the chat so you guys have it as well. But just so that you are all aware of that, we do a lot of classroom presentations, but we know classroom time gets taken up really quickly. So we do want to make sure that everyone has access to this as well. And yes, the form can be found on the Career Services website, just right on the home page underneath the RSOs, and I'll send out that direct link also. So that's one of the big things for our bookings. But just kind of like Jason was showing as well, we do have our own Career Services social media. So make sure to like us on Facebook as well as Instagram. We're going to have a lot of our just news that's coming up. We've got a lot of events here just in September alone with our 3 job fairs. So all that information will be found on our Instagram, and we have all of our events also on Engage. So just make sure that you're kind of spreading the word at your RSO meetings when we've got job fairs coming up. And if there's ever anything that we can do to help you guys out, please let us know. So I will send you that link here. Let me copy that. I'll get that sent over in the chat. And if anyone has any questions for me, please let me know.
Thank you, Lizzie. Yeah, I don't know if you have personal experience with this, but a few years ago we had a career fair, and I did an interview with some different employers that were there, and they were very interested in what students were doing in their student organizations. And students, you got to have the perspective of like, everybody that applies for that job that you're applying for also has a very similar degree. What really what they're looking forward to is how do you stand out differently from them? What experiences did you do? What different things did you do outside of the classroom? How do you make yourself different? So definitely encourage you guys, don't work on your resume when you're graduating. Work on your resume now. Really get that very flushed out. Like you're working on one line of that resume is your degree. Everything else you got to fill out with your experiences. So Career Services can help you with that.
Yep. Thanks, Tony. And for the RSOs as well, if I know like hearing it from us is a little different than hearing it actually from the employers. So we do have a really good group of employer partners, pretty much from all industries. So if there is anything like specific that you're looking for to hear feedback from employers, they are really happy to come on campus and also come to these types of meetings. So we have that available as well if you're thinking about any of these presentations. So just keep that in mind also. Thanks.
All right. Thank you, Lizzie. All right. Alyssa, I have another department coming out of the woodworks to also share a message with y'all. That concludes the RSO Leadership Orientation. I included one more link to the leadership quiz. You do have to complete it, and you do have to have 100%. I did notice some RSOs trying to complete it as soon as I sent it, whatever, an hour and a half ago, of trying to complete it before the orientation had concluded, and they did not score very well at all, unfortunately. So that does not reflect well on them or their organization, but it is what it is. All right. I'll be hanging out here for a little while as everybody exits. If you have any more questions, you could directly message them here, or if you feel like it's relevant to everybody else, you can share it in the general chat. Yeah, please feel free to schedule a meeting with me. I shared it during the orientation, but you know what? I'll find the direct link. It's like slmeetings.com or something like that, and I'll find it and I'll share it with y'all. But you can schedule a meeting with me on Teams, and we can talk really about anything that you guys like. If you have questions about a very specific topic, I can answer your questions through an email. But if you just want to talk for a little while, really hash it out, there is the link to that. Make sure you select me and then it'll show my availability, and you'll be able to see when I'm available, and you'll be able to schedule a meeting with me. And I genuinely want to meet you guys. I genuinely want to know what issues you guys are currently facing, because I was a student leader many years ago, and I know what troubles I faced, and I made it my mission to solve those issues for you guys. But obviously that was a while ago, so you guys are facing different issues. So hopefully we are able to have that conversation and resolve it from there. But all right. All right, I'll turn off my video and my audio. I'll hang out here. If you have any more questions, feel free to ask. Thanks, guys. And see you later.